Hello there. It's been a long time since I've done one of these answering questions thing, so I'm doing one. Um, yeah, I don't really have anything else to really say. I apologize for it taking so long. I'm very bad at this sort of thing. Uh, I'm a very busy person. I had a very busy life, and I have been very busy with it recently, and sort of like kind of driving myself to the point of burnout. Not quite burning out, thankfully. Yay! Uh, so yeah, here I am. I apologize. I just need to shave my neck beard, so I'm just gonna keep my head pointed down so you can't see it. So you'll never know, because I won't say. Yeah, I'm sorry. This is my weird sense of humor. I love it. Anyway, so yes, have the questions right here. So I'm going to read through them and answer them. Anonymous said, read your experience about playing Cards Against Humanity and feel for you so much. Had a similar experience with the card AIDS. Played it because I had to. When I did, Sell Strangers, a long, awkward silence. Luckily, no one asked who played it, but I still feel bad about it to this day. And now anytime I get a card like that, I demand to replace it in my hand. Don't care. I get to trade it. Period. I'm sorry your experience was so bad. The guy was a dick. The guy was definitely a dick to me, but I'm not terribly upset about that anymore. I blocked him on basically everything, so I don't really get any notifications of him, and I don't really think of him. It's just not a person I want to be around again. No, I mean, Cards Against Humanity is one of those games where you just have to accept that, the cards people play are sometimes cards they're just forced to play, because eventually you get a hand that's full of cards that aren't appropriate to play unless you just, have the rules to discard them. Or you play with people who don't get offended when you play a card because they know you have to. But, lots of people are stupid. Gay Boy said, Sir recently contacted me on Recon, offered me to be his permanent chastity boy. As of now, I'm not quite ready. He said how. I'm assuming that's a now. But the offer is for a limited. I'm assuming that means time. What should I do? If you're not ready and he's basically saying you need to do it now or you won't be able to, that's a red flag for me. I mean, if he wants you as his boy, why a limited time? I can totally understand being like, you know what, this is what I'm interested in, and if you're not ready for this, then I don't want to sleep with you, and that's fine. Everyone has to be able to say, these are the people I want to sleep with, and these are the people I don't. But the fact that he's saying it's for a limited time, you need to basically do this thing you're not ready for, or else I'm never going to talk to you or sleep with you, that's a big red flag, because it sounds like he's very much pressuring you into something you're not ready. One thing you always have to be careful of is a lot of asshole doms who really don't have other people's best interests at heart. There are a lot of really great doms out there, and there are a lot of really bad doms who use BDSM as a way to abuse people and get away with it. In the same way that, there's a lot of heterosexual men who use, like traditional masculinity and femininity as a way to abuse women. When someone has power, there are people who will abuse it. So I would say that's a big red flag, and I would avoid him. And if you are ready for like permanent chastity, then you could definitely sign up to him. I should also warn. My beard is very floofy today. I should also say that in the kink community, there's a very sort of confusing thing about permanent. On one hand, the idea of like you are signing away your life and it is now mine is super fucking hot and also very fulfilling. On the other hand, our life experiences change us, and it's not a bad thing to end relationships when they need to be ended. And so just also be aware of that. So you, like, no matter what contracts you sign saying I am yours for life, you do have if he becomes abusive, you still have the right to leave that relationship. I consider, abuse or not to be really one of those things that invalidates any sort of contract. And let's face it, all kink contracts are not going to hold up in court. So Yeah. Um, yeah. So I would just also say that, and I would definitely be wary of him. This is not supposed. I talk so much. It's just supposed to be like, I'm gonna go through these quickly, and then it's like da 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 da. Now I'm just wasting more time by talking about me, the fact that I talk so much. Anyway, where do I sign up to be your boy? Um, well, Ottawa, I guess. I'm not like a boy collector. I do like, having power exchange relationships, and I have power exchange friendships. So if you just want like, a friendship where we have, a power exchange as part of our friendship, that's pretty easy. I've got many friends that way, and it's fun. We both get our, friendship jollies and our kink jollies out. A permanent sort of like, I'm actually committing to you. There's not many people I do that with, and really I would have to meet a person and trust them in order to do that. So that's not something that's easy, and that's why I said Ottawa. Uh, Twink from Maslin said Snapchat. Uh, if you would like to have me on some social media, I have Beverly Crusher on Instagram. I have Beverly Crusher on Facebook. So do one of those. Yeah. Anonymous said, we the fans really want a video of having an askasm and coming hands free. Dream about it since we were told it was one of your superpowers. Obviously a puppy or a furry. I can do that. I'm very, once again, bad at fulfilling requests. I've got like a whole bunch of requests that I haven't touched. So yeah, I can definitely add that to the list of requests that I need to fulfill. I should warn you, it's a long list, and I'm very bad at doing things on it. For example, I have not done a single thing on it this year, and it's August. Anonymous said, it's not to be a hater. Most of the time, a power of a man is connected to his dick. The bigger the dick, manlier he gets, etc. You get the idea. So every sub's dream is a big dicked alpha that will dominate him and him and, that's a poor sentence construction. I'm getting surprised you have had pups even though your dick is tiny. Saw your dick and made me think you would be the perfect slave sub, yet you seem to really be okay with being a dom, even though you have a tiny dick. How do you see this? How do you not let it stop you? As people who have had my cock in their ass would say, it ain't that tiny. It looks that way because my cock is very thick and I am very big. I've had many people who see me naked online and then see my cock in person. They're like, oh, that's much thicker than I thought, and then they can't have me fuck them. My cock is of slightly longer than average length, but not really. The length is not anything to write home about. It's the thickness, and the fact that I'm so big and my cock is so thick makes it seem like it's small in photos. But even if it were small, I mean that's not. There are big dick subs and small dick doms, and they have no problems. You don't need a big dick to fuck, and you don't need to fuck to be a dom. So there's really no thing there. Yeah, a lot of people like the idea of a big dick, like 10-incher that they get to worship. A lot of people don't. A lot of people like the idea of this, gargantuan, useless dick hanging off of their bottom. So, like, my kitten has a bigger dick than I do. Probably, like, almost as thick, though not quite, but I might guess would be, like, 7.5 inches. And he loves getting fucked by me. So, yeah, it's not an issue. And I don't see why it would be. I mean, of the people I've dated, and I've been in service to, most have had actually smaller cocks than me. And it was never an issue. Nama said, you're very cute. Keep rocking it. Aww. I'll never stop being a bear, so don't worry. And I like being cute. Should have that there. So anyway, Phoenix Pride said, woof woof. Ruff. Now said, I would love to see you more bigger and rounder. That's redundant. You just need bigger and rounder. Because bigger automatically implies more. How is your weight actually? I weigh about 150. So I'm that's kilograms. I'm Canadian. It's like 150. It's about 330 pounds, 335 pounds. So I'm a big guy. Not going to get any bigger though. My health suffers, so I like my size. I like being the big, strong, beefy bear. So I'm not going to get tiny. I might want to slim down my waist a little bit just to have fewer health problems, but I'm hoping to replace that with muscle and not actually get smaller because I like being the big bear. I'd seriously ask you to be my daddy any day. Well, then you'll just have to come up, son. Next page. What prostate message do you use or recommend? I don't think I've ever known where my spot is, and no one has shown me. Well, in order to start, KDM boy, you really only need to use your finger. I've got long fingers, so I can easily reach my prostate with my fingers. But you're not going to be able to have like an askasm with your fingers. At least I can't. I have the Bad Boy. I don't know what company makes it, but there was the Rude Boy, which is the small one, and the Bad Boy, which is the flared big one. I think in hindsight, probably should have gotten the Rude Boy because I have to like work up to the Bad Boy. But I've been wanting to fuck more with my pup tail in anyway, so I should, just start working on my ass again so I can take the Rude Boy easier. Anonymous said, you should post more ass pictures. I should. I don't post that many. I have a nice ass. I would show you right now, but it's going to go on YouTube, and YouTube doesn't like that kind of thing. Anonymous said, get a haircut. That was probably before I got my last haircut, but it probably actually is about time for me to get a haircut again. It's getting long again and bushy. So I likely will in like a week or two. Right now, it's Pride this weekend, so I'm not going to have time. I've had such a crush on you for a long time, but I'm very aware I am not your type, and that's okay. Just know that seeing your pics always makes me happy and a little horny too. Well, thank you very much. Although I definitely do have a type. I tend to be attracted to people of the same type as myself. So like big, beefy, burly, sort of like combination of fat and muscle. I specifically built this body because I find it hot. So yes, I definitely have a type. However, there's, different people my type. So my type isn't always strict. Kai is definitely bigger than my type, and more fat, less muscle than my type, but I still find him very attractive. Stefan is, a very skinny chaser, and I still find him attractive. So it's not, my type isn't set in stone. The best thing to do is be passionate, be energetic, have a zest for life. Because those are the things that really I enjoy. So like have a zest for life, be submissive, call me daddy. Sometimes those sort of things get me going more than my type. Because most of the people I sleep with are not my type. Just because the combination of like finding someone who's my type and also interesting and enjoying life, it's very rare. Love your photos, especially pics of you while you're soft. Thanks for sharing. Do you like water sports? I do like water sports. I love it when boys drink from my tap. And I mostly actually do take pics of myself when I'm soft. Probably also contributes to the whole like, you have a small dick thing that the other person thought. I just, I don't really bother fluffing. And yeah, I'm glad people enjoy it. Would love to see a pee video. Well, I made that pee gif. That was probably well after you posted that. I can try to make a video for X2. Maybe like I could end up getting in the bathtub, peeing on myself. Everyone loves water sports these days. It's like vanilla. Nice work pic, stud. I don't know what that's referring to. Probably specifically referring to a photo I posted in which I was working or at work. Don't really post much in the way of photos from at work. Oh, maybe it was like a bathroom, like work photo in the bathroom at work. Maybe. Anyway, glad you enjoyed it. How do people treat you differently now that you're more bearish and not so twinkish? Well, in terms of like the things I noticed the most, really it's just like when I was a chaser, a lot of the bear sites at the time would just reject me. And by a lot of them, I mean Bear 411 mostly. It's just like, no, you do not fit our standard of bear, so we will not let you on the site. So I'm very glad the Bear 411 has like died horribly because I still have a resentment towards that website for banning me for so many years. There's kind of like a small little vindictive part of me that hopes that the person created it will hit on me one day and I'll be like, bitch, you wouldn't let me on your website for not being bare enough, and now you want to fuck me? Fuck you! And that's the small little vindictive part of me. In terms of like the bear community, I never really felt ostracized or anything else for being a chaser. Certainly there were people who weren't into me, but that's fine. You don't have to like everyone. And I never really felt ostracized or left out. Most of this, when I was twinkish, I was mostly a huge sort of like socially awkward nerd, still a bit socially awkward, and still definitely nerdy. But at least now I have vague senses of how to behave myself. And so I was on a lot of like live journal communities, like shirtless bears and pantsless bears, and definitely. While I didn't get as many comments as the people who were more bearish, because there was a site for bears, there were several bears there who were into me, and everyone was very polite. So, yeah, I mean, I never really got that much sort of chaser hate, which I know some of my other friends have gotten, where they've been sort of hated upon and ostracized, and for me, that was mostly just like Bear 411. Anonymous said, what do you like about getting your feet worshipped? So much. I like being worshipped. It's really hot. It's one of those things where it's a bit difficult to explain. Like, I mean, I can give reasons. But reasons aren't the exact same thing as an explanation. It's like, well, why are you attracted to men? Well, I find men hot. I like the size. I like the penis. But all those are things, well, why do you like the size? It's like... so I can give reasons why I like my feet worshipped. So I really enjoy the sort of power dynamics that worshipping offers. I like that sort of... Well, for me, the hottest part of kink is usually when I have power and that's the way the submissive likes it. That the submissive is happy and fulfilled by worshiping me, by being used by me, by obeying me. That to me is hot. I've never been that big a fan of like consensual non-consent scenes. It's also why like bondage is sort of like hit or miss for me. For me, what's really hot is when I dominate you and you want to be dominated. And so like for me, like my usual like bondage scenes is I'm not tying you down to use you. I'm tying you down to deny you being used until you break with need for me using you. So it's really fun to like tie a guy down and then have him just like break down crying because he needs my cock in him that bad. And that's hot. But like the bondage and like the guy struggling to kind of escape, it's not, it's less of a thing for me. So like, oh, but if you're escaping, then you must not be enjoying this. I can sort of get into it. It's like, if, once again, it's sort of like, oh, I'm trying to escape because I really want to suck your cock. And then it's like, no, I'm going to make you beg for it. I'm going to break you with your need to serve me. And that's hot. I was a cactus said, if you don't mind my asking, and forgive me if this has been asked before, how did you get into your current line of work? I kind of fell into it because I was basically a person went on maternity leave with a surprise pregnancy, and they're like, who do we have who can fulfill this person's role on short notice, because it was not a known pregnancy because she was overweight. And they're like, Daniel, if you want more details, just send me a message on Facebook. Don't want to get too much into my work life on Tumblr. So yeah, but that's the essence of the story. Do you have a Snapchat? I can follow you. Instagram, Facebook, Beverly Crusher. What are some of your favorite songs, bands? I have, a lot of them. The first one that springs to mind is the J. Arthur Keen's band, which no one has heard of. It's a band from Toronto. They were sort of popular in the chiptune scene, and they've kind of moved away from that and a little bit to more like traditional hipster, which is a little bit sad, but also is kind of cool when you see their sort of chiptune aesthetics and with their traditional hipster stuff, and that's fun. I really like Stephen Sondheim. I have been turned into a musical nerd by several partners. I tend to have a thing for femme guys, and femme guys tend to have a thing for musicals, and so I've developed an appreciation for musicals. I often jokingly say I'm mask for femme, which is not entirely true because I'm pretty femme myself. But I present in many ways traditionally more masculine because I am strong and beefy and play rugby and do powerlifting, and so people are like, you're masculine, and I'm like, okay, but then I'm like, yes, queen. Yeah. So anyway, wow, that was a pointless and long digression. Like Stephen Sondheim, like Lomag. Let's see, what else do I listen to frequently? I tend to listen to a lot of different stuff. I'd say, like some of my other favorite songs or bands, I tend to like sort of amusing comedy things. So like Arrogant Worms. Delirium has helped me through many difficult times of my life, even though that's, sort of old now. Decemberist, always a good standby, as well as Sufjan Stevens. That's all I can think of right now. So yeah. What things did you like about the University of Ottawa other than your major? What did I like about the University of Ottawa? I mean, I liked that. I think that it really helped me grow as a person, because I think I could have fallen down the rabbit hole if I had gone to a more progressive university and really become one of those people who argues based on what side they are on instead of the facts. And because of that, I now have, I think, a much stronger appreciation for the facts. And that is something that served me very well in life. What do I like about living in Ottawa? Ottawa is in many ways my type of city. There's the stuff I don't like, which is it's kind of lame if you want, to have sexy bear parties. Because I personally really enjoy, dancing around in my underwear around a whole bunch of other bears. I like, hot leather nights where everyone is like getting into kinky play. And that doesn't happen in Ottawa. If you want that, you need to go to Montreal or Toronto, which conveniently are relatively close by. But Ottawa, the Ottawa Bears are kind of boring. They tend to not really do much in their events. It's like, hey, we have a weekly bear coffee. I'm like, okay, that's nice. I used to go to their bear coffee and then I just got bored of it. Yeah. But so that's what I don't like. What do I like? Ottawa is in other ways my type of city. It's very, very nerdy and sort of make your own fun, and very people who who are full of garp and they just do their own thing. And I really like that about Ottawa. I really like how beautiful it is. It's great to walk along the canal or along the river or along the other river or along, the other river. So it's really great that way. It's a city that, you can really sort of like live in the downtown core, and there's a lot of, there's everything you would need in downtown core, but it's also a little bit small towny. Ottawa is often described as the biggest small town in Canada, despite the fact that it's, over 1 million people, just because it definitely has a bit of a small town feel. There's a main street, which is, like depending on where you are, there's Wellington or Rideau or Montreal or Bank, or Elgin, Bank Elgin, but like then you just like move one block after that, and it's like you're in a suburb, and that's really beautiful for just walking around, and I really like that. Yeah, and so that's what I like about living in Ottawa. What are you looking forward to most this spring? Uh, Oops. uh, this past spring, it's kind of crazy. Lots of stuff went on. But, next spring, Bingham is in Amsterdam, and it looks like I'm going to be able to afford it. I wasn't sure if I would be able to for a while. Now I need to actually... I just got a new little bit of fetish gear for... well, not really fetish gear, but some gear for spring, which I don't want to spoil because I'm going to do photo sets with it. But I'm really looking forward to it. So I hope you are too. How was your weekend? It's just starting. It's going to be a busy one because it's Pride. What makes you so comfortable about being so open about your life? I think part of it is just, predisposition. I don't really believe in privacy. I don't really care. I try to live my life so that I will be proud of it. And so I don't really feel the need for privacy. In terms of governmental privacy, I believe that the strongest defense against sort of a tyrannical government overreach is to have everyone be open about their lives and have no shame about it. Because having shame about your life is what gives, those censors and fascists power. They want you to feel ashamed. They want you to hide. And when everyone is wide open about who they are and no one has any shame about that, then no actual fascist can gain power, because how are they going to initiate any sort of system of repression when it's like, well, yeah, we've all got our crazy shit and none of it's bad. The stuff, there's definitely stuff that is bad, but that's usually, actual immoral things. I'm a very utilitarian person. I think utilitarianism is winning over the deontological moral thinking of the past. And now that I really push for that utilitarian ethos. Ethos is the way you pronounce that word, because I think that it is the protection against tyranny. By saying, no, this is not something to be ashamed of. This is open because I'm not ashamed. We really create a society where it's impossible for any sort of repression to take hold. And I think that's a slow process, but I think that society is changing in that direction where no one really cares what you've done. Unless, you're having impure thoughts on race. Or gender or things like that, because there are definitely people who still get fired for that, hence the Google person, although that Google person should not have really been circulating that, because it's not, certainly there's a significant amount of scientific evidence that shows that men and women have different interests, and you can actually talk to trans people, and a lot of trans people will say, like, I had no real interest in machines, and then I started taking testosterone and something like, machines? They're so fascinating. Or, like physics and stuff like that. And so hormones definitely have an effect. But the person was saying this in a way that really, I think would make women feel uncomfortable in the workplace, and without really establishing, for no particular reason. I mean, he's not in charge of the policy. He's an engineer, and, I don't go to another department in my company and be like, well, you're doing this all wrong. And especially in such a public way. when a lot of women feel beleaguered in tech for good reason. I think Ellen Pao wrote a fantastic essay on this, really describing her experiences. And of course, that's venture capital, not tech. And I think tech tends to be a little bit less like that. Of course, I haven't worked in tech, so who am I to know? But definitely, other women I know have experienced similar things in tech, just not quite as extreme. And so I think really, like, it wasn't his place. It was not actually contributing to the problem, even if a lot of it was correct, which I think it was. The actual, like, programs of trying to hire more women don't do any harm. And as such, I think it was just misguided. But I don't think he probably shouldn't have been fired for it. That was a long aside. I'm not really sure what my point was. Well, my point was that, stuff like that can have consequences in our modern society. There's the famous Firefox, very quick president who argued against marriage equality, and as such could not be president of Firefox. And other things like that where certainly, political opinions can get you fired, but not, like consensual things that you've done. And so perhaps what we're going to see is suddenly people are going to be a lot more circumspect about the political opinions they espouse, and a lot less circumspect about their activities in their life. I generally don't talk politics very much, except with friends, just because I have friends who work in workplaces where, they will get fired if they come out as a non-Trump supporter. And I have, not really friends, I don't really have any Trump supporter friends, but I know there are lots of people who in this world are Trump supporters who have to be secret about their political preferences because they're in situations where they would be fired if people found out they were a Trump supporter. And that kind of environment, although I am strongly anti-Trump, and I think he's the worst president the U.S. has ever had, and that includes Nixon, I think that is in some ways a toxic sort of environment where we're getting into so much infighting. And so, yeah, I question that. I think that I believe very strongly in free speech, and not just, the legal version of it, which is like, yes, government can't punish you, but that I think we need a society where people can voice opinions as long as those are not hate-filled opinions. Of course, there's never any justification for spewing hate. So, neo-Nazis and white supremacists and anti-gay people, homophobes, that was the word, racists, can all fuck off and go to jail, and be fired because that they're trying to hate views. But I have questions with that, about our quickness to lynch people politically for having the inappropriate opinion, and that happens on both sides. I have friends who are young adult writers who they're like, I cannot talk about politics because the young adult writing community is so toxic. What kind of job are you now with a degree in English, literature, and philosophy? Well, I don't want to talk too much about that. Try to keep my work and Tumblr separate a little bit. I will say I'm in the charitable sector. Rogue Ninja said, wow, you're incredibly sexy. Thank you. Blindlig said, how's that PA feeling? Any plans to size up in the future? Yes, actually. I'm planning to go to like a 4 or 2. Right now I'm at 8. I've got my 6 somewhere around here that I'm going to be able to size up to soon. That's not a 6. I don't know where my 6 is. Have it around here somewhere. Don't know exactly how big I want to go, but I'm going to keep on sizing it up until I look at it and be like, that's a good size. What prostate massager do you use? Already answered that one. Move on. Hi, sir. My master's giving me colors only be worn when I'm with him. Not until recently have I have noticed that I have misplaced it. If I were your boy, how would you punish me for loosing the collar? How would I punish someone for loosing the collar? Um, sorry, I'm an asshole. Uh, I don't know. Uh, I mean, my solution is, Kai doesn't take off his collar. Uh, it's a good solution. And he has to for work, which is sad. But other than that, he keeps it on. Uh, Punishment for losing the collar. Um, I don't really think that's a super serious punishment for me. Certainly, it's bad that you lost it, and I would give out some spankings or anything like that. But it wouldn't be like a serious punishment because I would know it was just accidental. Because if you're only wearing it certain times, it could be lost. So probably spankings, floggings, that sort of thing, just to drive home like, hey, you shouldn't lose this, and really discipline, but not to actually punish. I draw a strong distinction between disciplining and punishing. Punishment is when it's really a betrayal, conscious decision to do something that was wrong, and discipline is just sort of like you need to learn your place, and let's do it having some fun so you'll remember better next time. It's not designed to be painful. Black Gay Diaper and Brief Lover, I know what you're into, said, do you really wear diapers? Have posted pics of yourself in them on your blog. Not posted pics of myself in diapers. I did wear diapers after I got my PA because I didn't want to bleed everywhere. What is your Snapchat? I get a lot of these messages as well. Your cock looks really good with that piercing. Thank you. What's a sexual fantasy you haven't? What's a sexual fantasy you have that you haven't acted out yet, if any? That was formulated correctly. I just apparently couldn't read it. I would say I have some piggy fantasies about lots of cum and like having Kai bred like 30 billion times and then using all that cum as lube and really fucking him and feeling all that cum in my cock, which I haven't acted out on for safety reasons. Hoping to get on prep soon, in which case it might be easier to act out. Do a clip of you wrestling a guy, especially using bear hugs and scissor holes. I could try to do that. Shouldn't be too hard. But it'll go on the list of things, of requests, which I already said I'm very bad at. What phone do you use? I use a Nexus 6. What are some of your favorite songs? A Poem for Byzantium, I'm Not an Animal, The Ecstasy of Gold, Don't Laugh, You Can't Stop the Beat. Yeah, those are the ones that pop to mind right now. This has been very long, so I'm not going to keep trying to think of more. I apologize. Phantom Root said, okay, so I'm not in the mood for Magic the Gathering porn. I'm in the mood for Magic the Gathering porn. How large is your collection exactly? You're going to be very disappointed. It's not large. I'm sorry. It's relatively small. I have a couple of decks remaining, but Magic the Gathering I really felt was moving in a direction that I just had no interest in playing. The recent decks are just the games are over in like 1 or 2 turns, and that just isn't any fun for me. Also, I just get annoyed with the new sets coming out all the time, and you just have to. It's a constant money sink that just costs a lot of money to keep up. And of course, they do that because they make money at it. But at the same time, it's sort of like, well, I'd rather play something that doesn't constantly cost lots of money. I actually really like playing Magic with other people from the same era. So like, we play like old school Magic with revised cards, and that's really fun. Just because I think that was the deck. I really think that Magic was better then. Before it got super convoluted and they tried to up the power level each set to make people buy the new ones. And I just think it was a well-designed game that really worked. And then they wanted to keep making money off it. And they did. So, good business decision. I'm just an old stick in the mud who's like, no, I don't want to spend more money on this. It was good here. I'm going to pretend nothing exists. It's a bit like, how, there's only one Matrix movie. So my collection is not vast. I have a decent number of cards, but I gave away a lot because it was sort of like, well, here are my decks. I'm going to keep my decks for playing, but I'm not going to be making more because I'm not interested in getting the new cards. So I gave them a lot of them away. Do you have Snapchat? Skip that one. You're beautiful. Thank you. How ticklish are you? You gorgeous hungry man. Not that ticklish. I used to be more ticklish. Less ticklish now. What's your Snapchat? I think you will like so much Brazil. I want to kiss you. Well, if I'm ever in Brazil, you can look me up. I think Brazil would be nice to visit. Yeah. I haven't actually... South America is one of the continents I haven't been to yet, so I want to go. Happy New Year to the handsome devil. Thank you. Some of these are old. Hi Figure said, handsome. Thank you. Temper 2 said, somebody has way with words. Thank you. I reference something I said to him probably. Probably called him like a big fat dumb bear. Or pup, probably. You're very handsome. Hope you and your pup are doing okay. Take your time with those pics. I don't know what pics you're referring to. You're a really nice man. Thank you for chatting with me, sir. You're welcome. Have you ever seen Dylan Noodles be naked in real life? If so, can you tell us still thirsting about his otherworldly package? I've never met him in real life. If you want to, see his package, I suggest you look for photos of it on the internet. They're out there. Sir, you're everything I want in a dom. You're perfect. Why, thank you. You should say that on your knees, though. Maybe like your lips against my feet. Do you have Snapchat? Nothing hotter than a big, sexy guy like you with small penis between his legs and who isn't afraid to show it. Thank you. Looks like that was actually part of our conversation. Answered that one. I think now I'm actually basically at where I was last time. So I think that's through all of them. That took a long time to go through. So if you're actually watching all of this, hope you're well, and thank you for watching. Bye!